Sorry about that, folks. It won't happen again. You know, these guitarists, they just come wandering in and just take over everything. There's more Big Mac about you than Fleetwood Mac. Oh! Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport, coming to you from a completely different location because I am not at home. I'm doing my best. I am using a PS2 iToy camera to record myself, and I've got a shitty old laptop. I'm doing my best, and I'm here on a Sunday as always. That's what's important. And today, I watched the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. It was a pretty good race. We had some good racing up at the front. 4 cars fighting for the lead, unfortunately ending in disaster. But it was still nice to have a fight with more than 1 or 2 cars. And it was really the highlight of the championship at this point. And it's kept everything going pretty nicely because Max Verstappen did not have a great weekend. And in the grand scheme of things, neither did Lando Norris. But the outcome of this is that Red Bull are no longer in the lead of the Constructors' Championship for the first time since, I guess, 2021 at some point. Maybe at the start of 2022. So this is a major event in Formula 1 at this time. Because it's been so long since Red Bull haven't been in the top position of both championships. And it was all down to speed. They just did not have the pace to keep up their rivals. Max Verstappen was really struggling out there. Did not have a great qualifying, did not have a great race. He was overtaken by Russell, couldn't keep up with Norris, and Norris got back past him after a pit stop. It was really, without crashing or breaking down, it was as bad as it could be for Max Verstappen. For the rest of the field, this was a good race for a few others to score points. We did get some unusual point scorers, but it was all about the fight at the front. We had Leclerc leading on early, and that lasted until just after the pit stops. Then Piastri dive-bombed him with a beautiful move. He really is a star driver in the making. Him and Lando Norris at McLaren, really, they have one of the best partnerships out there. And with them now working together, we didn't see it too much this weekend. We saw a little bit of it with Norris blocking Perez for a lap. But going forward, I think that puts Norris in a very strong position. And I'm not sure Perez can offer the same to Verstappen. Because even though Perez was really on it this weekend, it's a track he likes, a track he does well at. I can't see it happening at every circuit remaining. There's only 7 rounds left. Maybe Singapore. But outside of street circuits, Sergio Perez has struggled all year. And of course, this race did not end well for him either. But we'll get to that. Out in front, Piastri held off Leclerc brilliantly. It was, honestly, for Piastri, 10 out of 10 drive. He did not put a foot wrong under massive pressure from the Ferrari for most of the race. It was really just glorious. What a fantastic drive from the Australian to take his second Formula 1 win. And behind him, much rejuvenated Leclerc, who has not had the best season. It's been a bit up and down, but recently it's really picked up. And he isn't out of the championship fight either. Neither is Piastri, really. They both did a fantastic job in this race. Perez, he was managing to hold him. He was right in there himself. And it was maybe Leclerc losing a bit of pace and Perez going for that move and it not working out. That led to the disaster on the penultimate lap. I don't know who's to blame. I haven't had a really good look at it. I only saw it as we saw it on TV. I don't think Sainz moved over. I think it's just the way the track curves. They met in the middle. Perez maybe should have given him more space. He wasn't by the side of him. He was behind him, just in front of his rear wheel. So he should have given him some space. And the outcome is, after a fantastic drive from both drivers, for Carlos Sainz to catch back up to the front 3 and for Perez to stay up in the top 3, it just did not end well. And they were both out of the race. It's a massive pain for their championships. In the Constructors, for Red Bull and Ferrari, it's a massive blow. Even though they both outscored Red Bull at this race. And as I said, McLaren have taken the lead. So it's a big, big win for them. And in the end, George Russell got on the podium after pretty much being anonymous all weekend. And Lando Norris finished 4th with Verstappen 5th. So from almost nowhere, they got decent results because Perez and Sainz crashed. Hamilton also had a pretty terrible weekend. I think he was lucky to get points. In 9th place, 2 points. It's not really good enough, but it's actually more of a performance. He was stuck behind slower cars for very long stretches in this race, and there was plenty of overtaking here, albeit all out of the DRS zone at the first corner. Hamilton got stuck behind, I think, Gasly for a long time, and then Behrman and Colapinto. He never got past Colapinto. He actually finished behind him. So it's a very poor performance from Mercedes. I don't know why he started in the pit lane. I don't know if he had an issue, or if it was a penalty, or if he had to change some parts. I didn't actually see any news about it, and I missed the start of the coverage. So I am missing information on that. I don't know why he started in the pit lane. He did. It was not a great race for him. I don't know if it's maybe a mechanical problem. It seems like there should be for him to be that far down and struggling to get past people like Behrman and Colapinto, who are only in their second race. But it was still a bad race, but he did get points out of it. Honestly, Colapinto and Behrman also both finished in the points, which is a fantastic performance from both of them. We had Alex Albon in the points as well, again, and decent points as well for Williams. And Alonso put in a decent enough performance to get some good points. No one really performed badly. I guess Stroll and Tsunoda. Again, I think it was Stroll's fault. He shouldn't have made that move early, and he took Tsunoda out of the race. But it wasn't a good performance anyway. I think they both ended up out of the race. Alpine were kind of nowhere this weekend. Stake, as always, were kind of nowhere. It was a mixed up grid with Norris and Hamilton further back. So I guess that made it more interesting for the back markers and the midfielders. And it gave them something to fight for. It meant Colapinto and Behrman could be in a position to score points. And if you think about it from Ollie Behrman's position, he's done 2 Formula 1 races, one with Ferrari, one with Haas, and he scored points in both. He really is a fantastic driver. It's going to be interesting to see what he can do with a full season. Colapinto I'm a little bit more worried about. He put in such a good performance all weekend. He was great in qualifying. He was great in the race. He had that incident in practice, but honestly, you can look over that. But the thing with him is there's no seat for next year. Williams have got Albon and Sainz. I think RB are the only seat available. And Stake, which I think will be going... Well, it's allegedly going to Bortoletto in Formula 2, which is interesting, but it does leave Colapinto out in the cold. It's kind of a shame to see him stuck on the sideline, because in 2 races, he's been good, and he's shown he can be a Formula 1 driver. And it's still kind of a problem with Formula 1 that these young drivers, there just isn't space for them on the grid. But hopefully he finds somewhere to go next year. Another driver I want to talk about is Teo Chair, who was Formula 2 champion in 2023. His stock has fallen so much this year. He had a terrible race in Super Formula. He wasn't great in IndyCar when he went over to America. And now he's a stake-back driver. He's been with South for the last few years, and now Gabriel Bortoletto is being linked to that seat ahead of him. I think that's a bad news for the former Formula 2 champion. And again, he's another driver where I'm not sure where he's going to go. Maybe he can find another seat in IndyCar. Maybe he can get into Formula E. But I think, again, he's a talented driver, but he had issues in Formula 2. It was never as straightforward as it should have been for him. And he's not really performed anywhere else since. So he needs something to come along, a seat to open up somewhere. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens with his future. As for that, the race itself, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix was a decent race. I did enjoy the battle at the front, the cat and mouse games almost. It looked like Leclerc was going to struggle over the last couple of laps. So Sainz and Perez colliding pretty much saved his bacon. I think he could have lost the podium if that hadn't happened. And also it put people like Colapinto and Behrman in the points, which is always interesting. The championship between Norris and Verstappen, it hasn't changed much, but I think Norris got fastest lap as well, so he has closed in by 3 more points. And Singapore is another race where Verstappen has had issues in the past. Again, it was one of the races he didn't win last year. So a couple of weeks' time when we get to Singapore, that race is going to be very, very interesting, and I'm really looking forward to that one. And again, it's going to be interesting to see if Colapinto can continue his good performances and what happens to him in the future. If Haas invite Magnussen back, I imagine that he probably has a contract at the end of the season. But I can't see why they wouldn't keep Behrman in that car, considering it's Behrman who'll be driving it next year, and he's doing such a good job. He has more points than Magnussen in the championship after 2 races, although one was with Ferrari. Other than that, as I said, this was a pretty good race, and I did enjoy it. It's shaking up the championship, especially for constructors. The Drivers' Championship is way more open than all of us would have thought possible, even like 5 or 6 races ago. And that's going to keep it interesting to the end of the year, and I'm looking forward to that. Other than that, I don't think there's too much else to say. It was a pretty good weekend for Formula 1. As for everything else, I will do my weekly roundup at some point, but I'm not back at home till Monday, and I haven't watched any of the other motorsport that's been going on. So that might be delayed till Wednesday. You might not get videos early on next week, which I apologise for, but as soon as I'm back, it will be back to normal service. So with that, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for enjoying the Formula 1 with me. Thank you for listening to my brother play his guitar. You can check him out at Lamneth on YouTube if you want to listen to more of his music. And with that, thank you for watching. Have a good one.